Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jake with Fitness Insider coming at you guys with another good one today. But first, as always, hit that subscribe button, join the family. I would love to have you. A special thanks to everybody that has subscribed and been commenting, getting involved. I love you guys. You guys are my people, man. I appreciate it. So this video is basically going to be a early, I guess not too early, but basically a early predictions video for the Arnold Classic Australia. Now, this is something I'm probably going to fine-tune as we get a couple days closer to the show and we start seeing a couple more physique reveals. But because we're so close to the last show, the Arnold Classic Ohio, I think we have a very good idea of what we're going to see here. Now, we have a lot of people that came from the Ohio that are going to be in this show, and we also have some newcomers. So I think for the most part, the top 6 is going to be almost a repeat for those who are coming from the Ohio, and then we're going to get into some of the newcomers. So follow me along. This is going to be a good video. Okay, guys, so basically for my number 1 and number 2 spot, I'm almost 99% sure it's going to be Big Ramy and Dexter Jackson in that order. I believe Big Ramy's going to win this show, and Dexter's going to be second place. Now, obviously, with prediction videos, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to because there's a lot of, negative trolls that want to come in and throw some negativity around just for the sake of doing it. I don't understand that kind of mindset. That's not how I like to operate. I try to keep things positive and not throw that kind of stuff around because to me it adds no value to anything. But just to say that, I am making a disclaimer here that predictions are just predictions, guys. So if I'm wrong, obviously that kind of stuff happens. So anyways, the reason I choose Big Ramy to be number 1 again is because I think we all know that Big Ramy has the genetic potential to be Mr. Olympia several times over. He just needs to figure out how to come in shape consistently like someone like Dexter or William does, and he will be a front runner in every show until he starts fading several years from now. So Big Ramy will be a front runner in every show for a long time, and he probably will win most shows once he figures out how to get the conditioning on every time. So Big Ramy has so much more mass than Dexter Jackson. That's the main reason why I'm putting him in front, because honestly, I think Dexter probably has the best lines in proportion out of the two. I think he has, proportionally, he looks more put together. Big Ramy, his quads, I think, are a little bit too big for his body. But the difference is that Big Ramy is still very complete and proportional himself. Even for a guy that's 300 pounds, he's probably the most proportioned guy at 300 pounds. I've never seen somebody that big that has the proportions that Big Ramy has. And the difference between the two guys here is about 60 pounds or probably more. If Big Ramy comes in condition, in shape, almost as good as Dexter, I think he can afford to be a little bit less conditioned than Dexter and still win the show because he outmasses him so much. Big Ramy would have to be pretty off, and Dexter would have to be like really on, I think, to win this show, because without William Bonac there to kind of spread the judges' view out, it's really just going to be their eyes on these two guys, not three, So I really do think it's going to place a lot of emphasis on the size difference, whereas last time you had 2 different smaller guys with Big Ramy there, which kind of, made it a less of an effect as how big Big Ramy's mass is. So this time I think Big Ramy's mass is going to be too much for Dexter to handle, and that's why I have him in first. Now, as far as Dexter Jackson, Dexter is one of the greatest of all time. He is going to be conditioned. He's going to bring a very good package like he always does, which is why I put him in a solid second place. Now, could he win the show? Absolutely, Dexter Jackson could win the show. In fact, if he did win it, I would not be surprised because Dexter is that good. He's a prior Mr. Olympia. He has more wins than anybody ever had in the IFBB, and he has more Arnold Classic wins than anybody ever had. So, technically on paper, he's probably the guy to win. I just have Big Ramy ahead of him because Big Ramy was conditioned for the night show last time, and now he has another week still on top of this to dry out even more and get things where he wants them to be, where him and his coach want things to be. And I really do think, with the mistake that happened for prejudging last time, I think they're going to dial it in and bring a better prejudging package this time. That's my 1 and 2. Okay, guys, in third place, this is somebody who was not initially on that list, but according to his Instagram, he is still going, and I think he already did arrive in Australia. So, Nathan Diaz. I have Nathan in a solid third place. This dude is massive. He has almost all the pieces. So one of the criticisms he often gets is conditioning and having high lats. Now, I don't think the high lats are going to be a problem. In fact, I think it kind of makes him look like he has a unique, good taper. I see what people are saying with it, but I don't think it's a problem. Now, you can see here with his posing, the fact that he pulled out of the Arnold, Ohio, gave him another 2 weeks to kind of bring better conditioning, and he does look pretty dang shredded here. His Christmas tree looked incredible. I mean, his quads look separated. It's not the most deep, crazy conditioning I've ever seen, but for Nathan Diaz, very good conditioning. I'm expecting big things. He looks full. He looks separated. He looks massive. It's going to be a very good Nathan Diaz, in my opinion. And next, we're going to talk about spot 4 and 5. And now this one is a little bit tough for me to decide because I'll go ahead and name who I think, and then I'll tell you why. So spot 4, I'm going to give to Sergio Oliva Jr., and spot 5, I'm going to give to Steve Kuclo. Now, the reason I say this is because I think these two positions can swap around pretty easily because these two were very close in the Ohio show. In my opinion, I've went on record and said that I thought Sergio Oliva actually deserved a place above Steve in the Ohio show, but, it's not something that was like a huge lead or anything, because Steve looked amazing here as well. Both these guys were very close to each other. They both are massive dudes, and, I think Sergio had better conditioning and separation. Steve had more of even though these guys are probably pretty similar in stature, Steve just has that crazy looking muscle, that kind of, that raw mass, even though, again, these guys probably weigh something pretty similar. But either way, to my eyes, I thought Sergio should have placed higher, and that is why I place him in spot 4 above Steve here. And Steve, I assume, is going to come in. He gets better and better every single show, and I think he's going to continue doing that over the next couple of years. And so I think he's going to be no lower than 5th place, unless Akeem Williams comes in looking crazy. I think Steve's going to be 5th place, and that leads me into spot number 6. Now, Akeem Williams has some of the craziest looking muscle I've ever seen. He has that crazy looking physique with the round 3D muscle bellies, and for a guy that everybody says has kind of like thick skin and not crazy conditioning, he has some insane feathering in his quads. Now, I do see why people say he has kind of a hard time coming in condition, because even in the Ohio show, he had probably some of the best conditioning I've ever seen him, while still bringing the fullness. His legs and everything from the front looked really good, but when you turned him around, his upper back just kind of looked watery. It looked kind of like a film of water there. Even when his hamstrings looked pretty good, and his glutes looked pretty good, his back looked kind of washed out, So, yeah, Akeem has the potential to place better than 6th. It's just how he looked in Ohio and how I think he's going to place here. I think he's going to be in spot number 6. All right, guys, so that basically rounds out the top 6 for my predictions. And again, I might make an updated video as I start looking through these guys' Instagrams over the week and start seeing how their physiques are shaping up going into this last week before the show. Now, I really do hope this show is not canceled. We're going to have to really keep a close eye on that, and I will let you know if any news comes up about that. But as of right now, the last I checked, we are still good to go. And there's a couple other guys that I wanted to keep my eye on. People like Blessing, Josh Wade, Fred Smalls, Patrick Moore was obviously somebody we're all excited about. Even though he had kind of an underwhelming performance at the Ohio show, I think he still could come in looking amazing here. And, Victor Martinez, I expect pretty good package from him as well. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting show. I'm going to try to keep you guys updated as stuff comes in. To everybody that made it this far in the video, much appreciated. Thank you for hanging around. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to keep you guys updated and entertained, man. I appreciate you guys hanging around. I'll see you in the next one.